Welcome to Against Medical Advice. I'm your host, Jimmy Diamond. The identity and location of the following recording has been changed to protect the anonymity and confidentiality of the clients. The views and opinions of speaker do not directly reflect those of the podcast. The following is a live recording of real people struggling with addiction and trying to seek recovery. This is for educational purposes only. We hope you enjoy. Today's class is going to be basically a breakdown of what the fourth step is. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about experience with the fourth step. We'll talk a little bit about what the fourth step can do for you. Perhaps maybe different methods of the fourth step. So on, so forth. I'm going to try to get you as much information as I can. Congratulations to the graduates. That was awesome. And in the event that I don't get to everything today, we're going to definitely cover it on Monday. And on Monday, we're for sure going to begin resentments. So resentments is what you should gear up for on Monday. But I've only got an hour and 12 minutes with you guys. So that being said, the likelihood of a break is low, just so everybody knows that. Opportunity to share is going to be totally open, but I am going to be talking very fast paced. Like I'm going to be moving through this. So if you're taking notes, try to take them as much as possible. I'm going to try to write as legibly as possible, but just kind of want to give you a heads up for like what this is going to entail. So let us get started. And the first question I usually like to ask when doing the fourth step is, has anybody ever done a fourth step?
I'm smacked down in it right now.
I'm getting close to it.
Right now?
Coming up on it.
Coming up on it? Okay, alright. Let me tell you this. If I had a pill, if I had another method of teaching you the harm that we cause as a result of our addiction, I would tell you it. I would sit down and go through it. If it was a pill, I would prescribe you it. If I had something to give you that could give you the realization of how much your addiction harmed yourself and other people, I would give it to you. You'd take that pill and you'd be like, holy shit, I can't believe I was that horrible of a person. I'm as horrified with my behavior as you were. Anything I can do to fix this, please let me know. There is the closest thing, I think, the closest thing in the fastest amount of time that can, I believe, can give me that type of understanding is called a biopsychosocial. Okay? So, if you want the fastest, most like clinically sound way of getting what you're gonna get in the fourth step, it's called a biopsychosocial. Okay? It's usually like the first therapy session you do when you get here. They sit you down and ask you all about your biology, your family history, your psychology, your education, your friends, yada, 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 and where those are at, history behind them. And this is basically that. The fourth step is, to me, that pill that gives you the understanding of who you are as a result of your addiction. The fourth step is very, very intense. A lot of people talk about how intense it is, how long it is, how many people share experiences with relapsing as a result of trying to work through their fourth step. And you got to think about it. What is a fourth step? I'm taking a moral inventory of myself. My moral inventory are times in which morals are right and wrong, good and bad. So what I believe is right and wrong and good or bad. Your morals different from my morals, different from everybody else's morals. So everybody has their own moral compass of what they believe is right and wrong. Although you have your individual understanding of what you believe is right and wrong, There's also societal what is right and wrong. There's spiritual what is right and wrong. And these things guide behavior as well. The inventory we're taking is not on the rules or the laws. It's on our inability or ability to maintain those and to have a productive life. The importance of the first 3 steps is to understand decision making. Okay? The purpose of the first 3 steps is to understand decision making. I have to understand what I have power over, what I don't have power over, and make the decision to control the things that I can. What the 4th step does is proves to ourselves beyond a reasonable doubt even further that I am in fact powerless over my addiction. Okay? And my powerlessness over my addiction caused me to behave in ways of which removed my ability to protect what my morals are. Okay? So addiction removes our ability to make healthy decisions. I'm not able to protect the things that I value when I'm in active addiction. If you were to ask, I want everybody to keep in mind that going through the 4th step is tough because what you're going to see is a giant series of moments in which you went against what you believe is right and wrong. You see what I'm saying? And that sucks.
Yeah.
That's overwhelming. You're going to have a whole bunch of things that are completely blatant situations and moments of me going against what I believe is right.
That's all I dream. I mean, when I have bad dreams for many weeks, those are my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Enough to wake me up, you know. It's like staring in the sun and then I just go, whew.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt you.
you're
Yeah,
good.
it's just, ugh.
But that's
Yeah.
yeah. And that emotion, like, so think about it. And we're going to take an inventory of this emotion as well. But if I am aware that if I'm becoming aware that what I did was wrong, what feeling do you think comes up?
Guilt, shame.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's it. Guilt and shame. Okay?
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
Okay, so like I'm the exact opposite of what Doug's saying. Like I know I did a bunch of terrible shit.
Yep.
And I fucked up a lot of people in like their head, like my family. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But honestly, like maybe it's because I've done a little bit of recovery. I know that stewing in that shit is no fucking way to get clean and sober.
Mhm.
You know? So I'm literally not like affected by it, really.
Right.
And I just don't want. I want to make sure that it's okay that I'm like that,
100%.
and I'm not a sociopath. Or
Well, let me ask you this. Why do I think you explain?
No, you're not a sociopath.
You're not a
You're
sociopath.
No.
Bro, you felt enough pain. I mean,
I
how
felt
many,
guilt, bro.
dude?
Fucking hell.
How many times is this your first time like trying a 4th step?
Yeah.
Like literally trying it?
Yeah. Well, I stayed clean for 4 years just on the first 3 steps.
Okay.
3-step shuffle.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's something about that.
Yeah.
And it's almost, I don't know what it is for you. I can't say what it is, but if I was like talking to you and like we're doing right now, I would say this is someone who's tried everything and knows that this is what works. Like I've tried everything and this is the only thing I haven't tried. That's
Yeah. Literally, I thought like I got through everything, but I didn't.
Dude. So, and again, your experience in your 4th step is your experience, and that is essential for other people. Now, say you have that experience right now. If you don't finish your 4th step, then you don't have like a full message to share.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, that could be a part of the process, and if I give up, I never really understand the full process. So part of your message is like you have to. I mean, you got to finish it now. You know what I mean? And hopefully you then afterwards you can say it works, it doesn't work. This is what you got to look out for. This is what you got to do, so on and so forth. You know.
Yeah, my sponsor keeps thinking I'm not going deep enough or something because I'm not like all dug about it. You know what I mean? It's not terrorizing me at my dreams. You know, it's not. And I'm just like, fucking. I was a raging alcoholic with a fucking path of destruction.
Yeah.
Not
See,
anymore.
For me, I was the same way. I loved talking about it. When I was going through my fourth step, I treated it like it was just something that had to happen. It was comedy, dude. You know what I mean? It was just pure.
Yeah.
I can't believe I did this. Can you believe I did this? Like, oh my God, yada yada yada. But there was one section, because those stories that I'm telling in my fourth step, I told to all my friends while I was youth. It wasn't. I'll just tell you whatever, dude. You know what I mean? But there's a part in the fourth step called secrets that 100% transformed my entire recovery. And
yeah, I'm not there yet.
dude,
I know
I
get that.
Let me say this. You are the only person who knows everything you've ever done. No one on earth, except for my sponsor, knows everything I have ever done. Do you have any idea what kind of freedom comes with having another person who knows your deepest, dark... I'm talking about shit that I was going to bring to the grave. And I gave a disclaimer before telling them, like, I'm gonna fucking kill you if you tell anybody. You know what I mean? Like, I've never told anybody this. And if I'm taking it to the grave, if you tell anybody this, you're going to the grave. Like, and I said it. And the response and the freedom that came along with it was my fourth step. It took me going through all of my fourth step, bro, of egotism and pride and all this shit to just get to this one part. And that was the most freeing part for me. You know what I mean? Like I said, kind of like you. I enjoyed, right? I like going through my inventory, dude.
Yeah.
You know, because I knew that restoration was possible.
Yeah.
I always knew that from this process, I'm going to build a better understanding. Restoration can happen. But with my secrets, there's just something. I mean, I'm the only one who knows I did this, dude. You know what I mean? Like, and for me to tell you about it, it's like intense, you know? And there's no HIPAA, there's no nothing. And I got to start to practice this. And when you do something like that, something happens. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I do have this one vision of like my sponsor sitting around with all these other guys with like 20 years. And like, let me tell you about this fucking guy I'm sponsoring, you know?
Dude.
He's got this kind of, and then he's like, and then they're sharing, and I'm like, fuck that, you know?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, from what I've done, been around, it ain't like that.
I know.
You know what I mean? Now, okay. This big gap of time, this is the inventory we're taking, okay? Why it could be perceived as intense and long in that situation is because it is long. You're going over a lot of instances. You're taking an inventory, dude. Anybody in here ever take any inventory in your entire life?
Rick's camera, man.
You know what I'm saying? It's painstaking.
Oh.
It's tedious. It's having to go through every single product, make sure you got every single one, planning ahead, you know, all types of shit. And this is what that is. And the inventory that you're taking is of your morals, like what you believe is right and wrong. And there's something in us that happens to anyone when they're in active addiction that they are unable to protect the things that are morally right to them. There's something in them that gives them an inability to protect the things they value the most, okay? Now, what are the inventories that we take? There's 9 sections in the inventory that we take. And keep in mind that this is 4 through 9, right? And after this, right here, is 10 through 12. So the goal is, once you do this large inventory, so it's almost like imagining you're opening a brand new grocery store and you need to stock the entire fucking thing. And then after that, You just gotta maintain it daily. You see, that's what this is.
Yep.
You're going through your whole inventory, taking a huge inventory of every single thing you need or don't have or blah, 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 blah. And then after that, you're going daily. Like, okay, I was resentful today. I was, I was scared today. I did something that I wish I hadn't done, or I did not do something I wish I had done. You take this inventory at the end of the day, and you don't need to wait to take this inventory. That daily inventory can be done today to prevent yourself from repeating some of these patterns that we don't even fucking know about.
So you're saying 10 through 9 is daily repeating?
10
what
through
we
12,
did.
this
I
is
mean,
daily.
10 through 12.
Yeah.
And then 4 through 9 is what we
This is like life.
look at our past.
Yeah, that's like life. Now, if you're interested in because some people, what happened to me was I began doing my 4th step. As I'm working my 4th step, I'm adding things to it, dude. You know what I mean? Because it's so long, it takes so much time, and the more I'm involving myself in these emotions, the more I'm involving myself in these inventories, the more I'm realizing I still have these behaviors. I still do these type of things, and I'm having to add things to my inventory list as I'm going through it. One way to build a relationship with that is to do a 10-step inventory, a daily inventory. And if you're interested in using a tool to practice this daily inventory, you can go online and download this information pamphlet from a self-help group called NA, Living the Program, IP number 9. It's 5 pages, a series of questions that you're supposed to go over every 24 hours at the end of your day. You answer them as honestly as possible. If you want to share it with someone else, you do so verbally, and you do not go if there's something within the past 24 hours that is outside. If there's something outside of the 24 hours, you don't write about it. If you miss a day, you don't fucking do 2. You just don't do it. You just missed one. All right. That can help you prevent adding more things to your inventory list. Now, the list of things that we take an inventory of include 1, resentments, 2, feelings, 3, what is it? 3 is shame and guilt.
Mm-hmm.
4, fear. 5, relationships. 6, sex.
Mm-hmm.
7, abuse. 8, secrets. 9, assets. So imagine your grocery store has 9 aisles.
2 is
those-
feelings.
Huh?
2 is feelings. Is that what that says?
Yes. Yep. Imagine your store has 9 aisles. Okay. These are the aisles that you are taking your inventory of. Okay. Now, what are you doing? You're looking through your whole thing, your whole, I guess, life, if you want. I mean, it's up to you and your sponsor how far you want to go back. And I argue that the further you go back, the more freedom you can gain. Okay?
What if there's shit like you're not sure if you did it because you were so fucked up,
It's a great question.
but it's like then you've like built that story in your head,
Brain.
Yep.
and then and now you don't know what's real, what's not.
All of that.
Because sometimes you just man, blah, 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 and just for like war story shit, like dumb shit, and then it's like, fuck, did I even really do that, or was I trying to just get like street cred,
Dude, all of that. Write it all down.
Which one?
All of it is inventory material.
Is 7 anger. What does 3 say?
All right.
3 is
one-
shame and guilt.
1 is resentments.
Yeah.
2 is feeling. 3 is shame and guilt. So, and just keep in mind, this is what we're going over the next fucking couple weeks too. We're doing all of these, and we're gonna talk in depth about all of these, except for maybe sex and abuse. Sex, I just don't like doing it. I like doing it in gender-specific groups when I talk about that. So we're probably not gonna do that one. Abuse. which is number 7. So resentments, we're doing that. Feelings, we're doing that. 3, shame and guilt, we're doing that. 4 is fear, we're doing that. 5 is relationships. That's like a fucking 2 or 3 classes. So we're gonna spend a whole week, maybe a week and a half, on understanding relationships. And that's not just relationships with people, that's also relationships with objects and relationships with ideas too. And how those relationships with people, objects, and concepts is what we call them, affect our feelings, our emotions, and can even affect our feelings and emotions today, in the past, and in the future. Sex, we're probably not going to do, unless we have a gender-specific one. Abuse, we're not going to do. Abuse is one of the ones that they say in the literature, like, go talk to a therapist if you need to. Secrets is another one that we're going to do, but is another part of the step working guide where they say if you need outside consultation, go get it. So if you like need a lawyer, go get one.
Mm-hmm.
If you need
Don't
a
some of
therapist,
these overlap?
huh?
Don't some of these like overlap? Like things you're shaming, you hold shame and guilt about, or you probably are secrets as well.
So yes, you may see some of these overlap. What I'm going to try to do in these classes is distinct the differences between these things. So my goal is for you to understand the difference between resentment and fear and shame and guilt, how to identify them in your body, in your, like, knowing what is going to cause you these things so you can proactively take measures to manage your emotions. And yeah, you're going to see a lot of them overlap, but that's another reason that people get bogged down with this. And that's another reason that people get bogged down with this, because you may see one relationship that you're resentful towards, that you have a tremendous amount of shame and guilt towards, that you are afraid is never going to work out, or whatever the case may be. And restoration of that relationship could be an overwhelming journey, you know? So some people get bogged down with reliving the same thing over and over, for instance, right? Because you could have someone who, for instance, like, that's why abuse is, I don't do that in here, just because I think you should talk about that with a therapist. Some people aren't open with discussing those things in a group setting, you know? But you could have someone who perhaps was abused, could feel all of these in one instance, from one experience in their life. And to me, what's this an indication of? If I see one thing coming up constantly, bro, how about you talk to a therapist about it, motherfucker? You know what I mean? How about you, like, talk about it? That's something you should get off your chest. That's something that you should work through. And what you're going to see is, as a result of not working through it, we've developed these character defects by trying to hide it, by trying to suppress it or change it or whatever the case may be. And
is there like a particular method that can help when you've suppressed it for, when you're older and you've suppressed it for like 20 years? And it's fucking hard to find, even remember, like, if it's real or not, you know?
Yeah, dude, that's
It
where,
feels
like,
like it's like, kind of like, and like, then you're like, fuck it, I'm not gonna start digging shit up that's fucking, I can't even put my finger on, you know?
yeah, I mean, that's where I think that therapy is like a way to do this,
Hypnosis.
but the type of therapy you're receiving could be more beneficial for coping with different traumas.
Yeah.
So you may want say you have a traumatic situation that happened in the past, you may want a trauma-specific therapist to help you with this. You know what I mean? And keep in mind that you may feel that way with your sponsor too. Like, if you're gonna be sharing this with a sponsor, you may want a person who mirrors you, or you want to share it with someone who has what you want. You see what I'm saying? So just as much as, like, if you're trying to seek a therapist to do this, which is 100% cool, dude. This is what we're doing. We're doing a 4th step by being in here doing therapy. You know what I mean? That's what this shit is. But if you want to go beyond that, there's ways of doing it, you know? Yes.
I was just actually just speaking to 2 people about this just a few minutes ago. That, you know, just to release of saying it, of getting it out and speaking the words and getting it out of your head, because living in your head with that stuff it's our brains as addicts are just so screwed up, and you know, the fact that we hold that stuff in there, we're fighting a battle in our head, and and we're holding it in, and it's destroying our brain and what. So you, just to get it out is such a release that you're able to move forward after that, because you can't keep it up there or you'll go crazy.
I agree.
Yeah.
Does anybody have an idea of why that may be true?
Because I don't know. It's like doing drugs and kind of lying to yourself that it's a bad thing. It does nothing but just keep destroying you from the inside out. Like,
Yes.
so holding something in that you really need to let out, no matter how hard it is, imagine how much destruction that's doing on the inside.
For a year, 2 years, 10 years,
Years.
20 years?
Years.
And after 20 years of feeding myself the same loop, perhaps that imagination of what it is gets distorted. You see what I'm saying? So I'm feeding myself a false loop.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of false loop can be created as a result of not managing these emotions, not changing this, right? Because I'll tell you one thing, all of the shit on here is a part of life. It's a part of life, okay? And you might have heard me say it before, addiction hijacks these parts of life, okay? If someone, let's say, now let's talk about a fourth step in the opposite. I think that 12 steps are so good that they can bring you right into active addiction, okay? So let's talk a little bit about the opposite sense. How does somebody use a fourth step to maybe get into active addiction? So you got someone who now makes the decision to use. And you can put this in any time of your usage, right? I like comparing it to my early stage using, okay? So in my whole life of using, let's go back to like an early stage where I'm managing my powerlessness over my addiction, so to say,
You make
right?
an inventory of things and almost give yourself a justification to use.
Right.
Because you're making an inventory of things that you feel you have to suppress in that way.
Well, what I think happens is I start to use, right? I make the decision to use, and then I start making that decision to use more and more and more. Somewhere along the way, I begin using because of, let's say, circumstances, okay? So I'm using because me and my friends want to get high on Friday night. And we'll use high school, right? Want to get high on Friday night. Want to get high because it's Saturday night. Want to get high because it's so-and-so's birthday.
You want to get high because you're tired of the day.
Want to get high because you're coming over and we're playing video games and my parents are out of town. You know what I mean? Like, the circumstances change. You see what I'm saying? But there's always a circumstance where we make it happen. So if I'm using, and then maybe these circumstances are good, maybe they're bad, right? So now I'm using during circumstances, and this is what you're going to see when you do an inventory.
What does that say?
Circumstances.
Oh.
So then I start using because of different moods, okay? So if I'm not using because it's a Friday night or a Saturday night, maybe I'm using to relax. Maybe I'm using to change my hunger. I want to be more hungry. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm using because I'm bored. Maybe I'm using because I'm happy, right? So now my using goes from, if we're not just, it's the circumstance, we're using because we're in an emotional state. This is where we may start using Sunday morning because we're bored or hungover or something like that. You know what I mean? We may start using
Monday.
because it's Monday, or because there's a sporting event on, or I'm thinking more of like moods. So maybe you get into an argument with your parents, so you come over and we get high. You're in a bad mood. You see what I'm saying? So now I'm using in response to these circumstances. I'm using in response to my mood. So when I feel a mood, I'm trying to change or suppress it with the use of this drug. And if I'm not using because it's the circumstance or I'm in the mood, I may start using because of these relationships that I have. So if it's not the circumstance, it's not the mood, maybe you're just coming over. And because you're coming over, you bring a six-pack with you. You know what I mean? And that's just a reason, you know? Maybe because of my relationship with, it could be people, we'll say. We'll start with people. Being exposed to certain people raises the desire to drink. If there's no circumstance, we're not in any mood, we just drink whenever we hang out, right? For instance, me and my sister, I don't know what it is, but we eat like shit whenever we hang out. I don't eat like that when I'm with anybody else, dude. But when I'm with my sister, we're like, where are the cookies at? You know what I mean? I don't know what it is, you know? And I got other friends who are like that too. So now I'm using around these relationships. We got to get a new marker. With people. Number 2 is objects. So if I don't have the relationship with a person, maybe it's just because I got it in my house. You know what I mean? Just because I'm going to pick up some food and there's a bar there. So the opportunity's there and I have the relationship with the thing, right? So some other people, I mean, in this case, maybe anybody ever remember the time where they underage drank for the first time with their family? Or drank of age for the first time with their family?
Yes,
That's a moment.
yes.
It doesn't matter who's around. It may not even matter the circumstance. It may not even matter the mood, but there's alcohol there, and the idea that I'm of age, it's not a big deal anymore, I consume it.
But it is a big deal.
To me.
Yeah.
To them, they're like, yeah, bro, you're old enough, you know what I mean, have a drink, you know what I mean? It's no big deal.
Is that
But
first?
to us, we're like, yeah! Y'all want a funnel? They're like, dude, funnel, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Is that first one by relationship people?
Yes.
Okay.
And keep this in mind, some people, that's alcohol, right? Some people, their object may be a bong, something like that. Keeping a bong around may give them the desire to use. You see what I'm saying? They start investing time. They start having relationships with these objects. Their posters on the wall go from calendars to Dr. Dre the Chronic. You know what I mean?
The type of straw music.
The type of music they listen to may be different. They may listen to more drinking type music, drug using type music, right? You may see posters on the wall. They may walk around with some Marlboro gear on. You know what I'm saying? A Budweiser t-shirt, something like that. They start having relationships with these objects, and then we start having concepts. We start having relationships with these concepts. So if you got someone, now the concept is like just using over an idea. How many people got super fucked up before going to treatment knowing that they were not going to use again? You see, there's no saying that you're never going to use again. Who the fuck said that that's a reality? But because of my idea that that is going to be a reality, I engage in excessive drinking patterns. You see what I'm saying? It's not even real. It's just an idea. And these ideas can prompt us to behave in ways that put our freedom to be individuals and freedom to live in society at risk. Now, why are relationships so important? Because you got someone using in this circumstances, then they start using in reaction to these moods, then they start using when the certain people are around, when this object is around, or maybe just the idea that it's 5 o'clock somewhere, you know, you got someone who is using all the fucking time. What character quality may come from someone who is using or drinking in every circumstance, in response to every mood, or in response to every relationship? They might be an alcoholic. And especially if all of those are problem areas, you see what I'm saying? They may develop the characteristic against their will of being an addict or an alcoholic. Like, I didn't sign up for it. This is just what happens when you see someone who's drinking all the time. You know what I mean? It's like, if I see you with a Chronic shirt on, I'm assuming you smoke grass, dude. You know, and keep in mind that people who, some of these ideas that I'm talking about, people who don't engage in drugs and alcohol don't understand it. And that, to me, is a demonstration of how the lifestyle distorts us. So you got me drinking, using all the fucking time, going around, and people are saying, bro, you drink a lot, and I'm not seeing that. So you're seeing my character as something that I don't see. I believe my drinking's fine. I believe it's okay. I believe it's right. So now you see a misunderstanding of how I'm perceived and who I think I am. So now the world isn't treating me the way I think I am, and this is weird, and I start to associate the negative perception of people with my own behavior, and see that the way that people are perceiving me is justified because I am an alcoholic and I do these things and yada yada yada. And if you understand alcoholism, you understand that you're powerless over that behavior. That doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you a fucking alcoholic, dude. That makes you an addict, okay? It doesn't make you a bad person. Because if you had the power to defend your morals, you would. That's the thing. Like, if you were to ask someone who, let's say they value family, right? Family's at the top of their value list, and you say something like, do you value family, right? Yeah, I do. Do you think it's good that someone drinks and drives with their children in the car? Absolutely not. Have you ever drank and driven with your children in the car? And they say things like, yes, you know? Okay, that's not you. You don't believe that's right, although you've done it. So that there's some sort of disconnect there. And there's some sort of ownership that has to happen in that moment of saying, that is me. I have done those things. Because it's easy for someone to like have that reality and say, yeah, whatever, you know? But there's the acceptance that's key in this situation where it's, yes, I have done those things. So the way people perceive me makes sense. The way people, now character, your character is not the shirt you wear. It's not the things on your wall. Yes.
Okay, so talking about the whole like shirts thing and everything, I have a ton of like beer shirts and liquor shirts.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, is it a bad thing that I still wear them?
Dude,
I like fashion
just-
for one thing, and I just like the shirts for how they look, how they fit, the design on them. I think it's cool sometimes.
Yeah.
I've always thought that.
I'm not going to say you shouldn't,
Like,
should or should not. You know
And
what I
most of
mean?
the time, I got most of them from like working at a liquor store, and just liking the designs. I'd only pick the ones that I like. So I'm like, is it a bad thing that I still wear those shirts? Because I'm like, I don't see it as like a trigger for me.
I'm not saying it's a trigger.
Yeah.
I don't wear them to a meeting.
Yeah. That,
Yeah, you can't.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even think about that when I went into detox. Like half of my suitcase literally just had beer.
It's like
beer shirts in there.
some people.
Terrible.
Like, I wouldn't necessarily wear a shirt that said recovery. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like a perception thing. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
how do you want to be perceived? What
By
is the
other
construct
people, I
of the society that you know? What is the construct of where you feel comfortable in? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if I was wearing like a beer shirt or a Chronic shirt, people might be like, dude, like, do you know where I can get some dank? You know, you obviously know because you got the fucking, and like, I don't want that, so I don't wear that shirt. But at the same point, like, I don't necessarily want people to be like, dude, do you know where any good meetings are at, bro? Because I'm not that deep into my recovery yet that I need to be like sponsoring people yet. Maybe I'll wear the recovery shit later, you know?
Mhm.
It's the same way for me.
Yes. Yep. And what this does for me, what the fourth step does for me, it says to me like, where along the way did I think that wearing this was cool?
Yeah.
Like there was a time in my life, if you were to go back, where one weekend I just went out and changed my whole wardrobe. Like I went out, bought baggy shorts, big poofy fucking Tupac t-shirts.
Yeah.
I fucking cut my hair down to a fucking buzz fade, and I fucking, that's just who I was. You know what I mean? Everybody, I remember going into school and people were like, what the fuck?
Bro, it was
Jimmy?"
95 when kids came out.
Bro, you know what I'm saying? Just like that. You know what I mean? And everyone's like, what the hell, dude? And I'm like, yeah, this is me. This is who I am. And looking back, if you were to see me today, it's the same person I was when I, like, before that transition happened. Like, before I transitioned into, like, weed shirts and shit, people used to call me a cartoon character because I always wore a black polo with a white tee and jeans. That was, like, my go-to, dude. And everyone was like, that's what Jimmy wears. He's always wearing the same fucking thing. And now all I wear is a fucking black tee, jeans, and that's my thing. And my wardrobe, I changed my whole wardrobe. Once I lost weight, I'm going through my wardrobe and I'm like, here's a beer drinking shirt. Why did I hang on to that? Here's this, these are just cool, like they're cool shirts, but one, they don't fit me. And two, I don't ever plan on them fitting me. You know what I mean? And like three, is that how I want to be perceived in society? You know what I mean? Because what might that do to my own self-perception, dude? You know what I'm saying? Like, how is my self-perception going to change as a result of that? 1 second, Barb.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and that's another thing I was just after talking about is, you know, how much weight should we put on what others perceive us as far as what we perceive ourselves as? I mean, you know, if we spending a lot of energy on thinking about what
Other people think,
then we lose the opportunity to build our own selves up and, you know, and figure out how we should be our own self-worth. We lose that energy that we should be spending on our own self-worth and how we should perceive ourselves.
Yes, and this, in my opinion, is building that self-perception. You see what I'm saying? Like, I agree with you. That's why this inventory is not of other people. This inventory is of ourselves, right? I have to take a look at myself and say, is that person who I am? Do I think I think that that's right, or do I think that that's wrong? And if I keep on doing that, who am I gonna become if I continue to do that? You see what I'm saying? So you're right, those opinions don't really like matter, but my opinions of myself, and that's a relationship outside of who I am today. Like the person I was 5 years ago is not who I am today. And if I want to understand who I am today and try to build a good plan of becoming who I want to be, that understanding has to happen. You see what I'm saying? And so yeah, you're right. Don't want to worry about those things, but so that's like in agreement with you. But one devil's advocate thing is I do care about some people's opinion, and those people's opinions matter because there's heavy emotions that are preventing that relationship from flourishing, which I'm responsible for creating. And I need to understand what it is that I did that created this problem and fix what I can to make it even. From there, if other problems can happen in a relationship, problems can happen individually, but problems that happen as a result of my addiction are specifically the ones I'm trying to avoid and clean up right now.
See, but I don't see it the way, so he was saying that he wouldn't wear a chronic t-shirt, but he also wouldn't wear a recovery t-shirt.
Mhm.
Well, I wouldn't wear a chronic t-shirt because I don't know what the hell that is, so that doesn't matter. But I wouldn't, I've got t-shirts that have alcohol on them, and
Yep.
I wouldn't, and I'm wearing my sweatshirt that I bought from you.
Mhm.
I'm gonna wear that because it's for me.
Yes.
It's because it will remind me when I put it on. Do I give a shit if somebody comes up and says something to me? No, I'll say, yeah, I'm in recovery.
Yes.
You know, but it doesn't mean that I don't think that I'm owning them to come to me and ask me for advice.
Right.
Just like I don't think if I wear a Budweiser t-shirt, they're going to come and say, you know, I like Budweiser too. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this. You have the freedom to run your business however you want to
That's
run.
right.
You can sell whatever you want to sell, you can do whatever you want to do, but a reputation comes along with that. You see what I'm saying? So, say I'm a grocery store, I can not sell Valentine's Day stuff right now. If I don't want to sell Valentine's, Publix can be like, fuck Valentine's Day, we don't support it, we're not selling it. But they're missing out on opportunity to make money, they're missing out on opportunity to be helpful to other people. You see what I'm saying? So, maybe now for me, and I don't want to get too far off on this. You know what I mean? This is a very small part of my discussion. We kind of got to move on, but I don't want a reputation being built upon what I wear. You see what I'm saying? Now, I wear recovery shirts, so obviously my fucking reputation is built upon.
You're
what I
all in.
wear. I'm all in. You know what I mean? But that's my business. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not in the business of wearing beer shirts and shit like that just because that's not what I want to put out there. You know, I think that judgment is a natural thing. Being judged is 100% natural. And part of our inability to admit these in these poor moral decisions that we make is fear of judgment. Because if I am honest, like now, this is where fifth step prevents sixth step. You see what I'm saying? This is why there's a fifth step in between fourth and sixth. If I don't share how I think and feel, then I'm not. Okay, your character is your mental and moral quality distinctive to an individual. So how I dress is not my character. What I think is right and wrong about how I dress is my character. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if I wear a beer t-shirt, I'm powerless over what people think about my morals, right? So, not saying that we can determine anybody's thinking. Like, I will never know what you're thinking. You'll never know what I'm thinking. Like, that's just impossible until good science comes out. But if I was wearing a shirt that said, like, smoke weed every day, then I might get a little bit of attraction that I don't want. You see what I'm saying? People may look at someone. What do you think of someone who wears a t-shirt that says smoke weed every day?
Facebook, whatever. Hello.
Well, and imagine if you go up to them and go, hey, smoke weed every day, and they go, I'm sober.
Why are you wearing that shirt?
Why the fuck you wearing that shirt, dude? You know what I'm saying? So it makes like this confusion, and that's why people don't admit they're an addict. You see what I'm saying? So here I am, maybe if I, like you say, bro, you drink too much at this circumstance or whatever, and I say something like, nah, I don't, you're going to be like, how the fuck do you think you don't, bro? What makes you think that you, like, I am identifying, you don't understand the mental or moral quality it takes to, like, be a responsible drinker. And that may be what friends and family look at us when they say, like, what do you mean you didn't pay your fucking bill, dude? What kind of, you just bought a tattoo, you didn't pay your fucking bill? Like, what the fuck? You see what I'm saying? And people look at us like, where is this coming from? And we're not saying I'm an addict. We're saying, oh, I fucked my money up. Or I don't feel good. I'm just sick today. I'm just tired. So then people are like, bro, you're tired all the time. You're sick all the time. Like, are you depressed? Are you this? Right? Like, the mental and moral quality of our own individuality is based upon how I function in society. And if I'm lying about what's preventing me from doing that, people are going to misdiagnose me. people are gonna like think that I'm one way and I'm really another way, and I'm the only person who knows this reality. Nobody else knows. That's where the gaslighting comes in, the narcissism comes in, all that crazy shit where people are like, who are you? I thought you were this person, you're really this person. Like, this is weird. And keep in mind that family and friends need us to have a certain degree of mental and moral quality. That's why you keep friends and family around. Because they make good decisions, they know right from wrong. If I am avoiding people like that, they don't know the difference, you know? And if you're hanging out with someone who has bad morals and doesn't have the ability to think about their decision making, then they're a cause for possibly problems, right? Now, what is this fourth step? Now, that's a little bit of like sixth step. You know what I mean? That's why fifth step is important, because when I share all I've done, you now have an algorithm that makes sense to me as an individual that you can put whatever equation in and give me an outcome that is probably going to happen. And I need one person at least to be able to do that for me. Okay? Now, what will the fourth step do for us that we cannot do for ourselves is it will give us knowledge about how we respond to our emotional states. Okay? These are all emotions. These are all cause emotions. Okay? What you're going to go through, because like you think about this, you think, why would someone go against their morals, right? Like, you know the right thing to do, and you do the wrong thing. Why?
This is fun.
It's fun!
Good old-fashioned fun,
Right?
man.
Feels good, maybe? What else? Why would someone, they know the right thing, they do the wrong
They're
thing?
fucking sick and they need some fucking drugs.
Fucking sick, they need drugs.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification, right?
Don't feel like themselves when they're not.
Don't feel like...
Making-
Now, what does the drug do? It gives you the fun. It gives you that understanding of self, right? Is that what happens?
Gives you a false sense of being well.
Okay.
False confidence.
So it gives this false sense,
Yes.
right? So if I'm using, so say I feel a feeling and I feel like I'm changing it, but I'm actually not.
Right, and the correlation now is that the drug gives you the good.
Yes, you following this?
Yeah, it's distort your perception.
Yes. Now, what this is going to do for you, which you can do in therapy, okay? You can do this many different ways. But what this is going to do for you is you're going to go through your resentments, right? And what you're going to see is it's not the resentment that causes us to do what we do. It's the feeling associated, it's the feeling that's prompted by the stimuli that we respond to. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, it's even further. It's not the person, and it's not even the reason why you resent them. It's the feeling that the resentment gives you.
Boom. That's it.
It's not my mother because she didn't nurture me. It's because it like made me feel fearful.
Dude,
It's the fear that I'm doing the drugs over.
everybody's following that, right?
Yeah.
We're all on point
So
with
that's
that.
why it's like, take your mother out of it. Take the fact that she didn't nurture you. Dude, she did the best she could with what she had. It's the fear that you're doing the dope over.
Yes, and what we're gonna, that's why fear is my favorite class. What you're gonna see is, now what the fourth step does for you is because it's easy for someone to look at one relationship and say, yeah, this is why, that's why, yada, yada, yada. But when you go through all these relationships, all these people, places, and things, you may notice patterns, like a theme, not a person or a reason. You may notice a theme that says, when I feel like I've been treated unfairly, this is how I act.
That's what my sponsor said to me one time. She goes, absolutely every single thing boils down to fear.
It does. I am definitely someone who agrees with that and preaches it. Okay. Now, imagine, I think I talked about exploration last week on Monday. Think about the 14th fucking century, the 15th century, right? You got Ponce de Leon, you got Magellan, you got Christopher Columbus, you got all these sons of a guns exploring the world, discovering the world, right? They're hopping on this old wooden fucking ship, dude. This shitty ship. They gotta go all the fucking... They don't even know where land is, dude. They have no idea. They're just like, we're just gonna go. You know what I mean? We're just gonna go, we're gonna find it, and eventually we'll find some fucking land. And when they get to the land, first off, they gotta go through all types of crazy shit. I mean, back then, you imagine there were sea creatures that could... Whales were sea creatures, and the wooden ships are so small that these giant fucking whales would come up. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
That's not on cue.
Yeah, right? Yeah, these giant whales would come up and just crash down on the boat, and they never come back. And it was like, yo, are you gonna go on this discovery? It's like, nah, man, there's sea creatures out there. I'm not fucking going out there. And it's like, well, what if they find gold? Well, what if they fucking don't? That's what I would say, you know? And then it's like,
They were dying too.
Bro,
'cause
they-
had no food. They were dying the whole way to the place, and then they die when they get to the place.
and all the whys are different. Someone may be going to restore debt. Someone may be going just to figure out a new way around the world. Someone may be going to discover the fountain of youth. 3 totally different fucking reasons that somebody would go on an exploration. Doesn't matter. Are you going or not? And when they go, they have to be on the fucking ocean for who knows how long, day after day. And then they land, and do they go, wow, this was cool. Let's go back. No, they say, all right, we're going to camp out. We're going to stay here, and we're going to explore more the next day. That is your 4th step. Land is your 6th step. And that's where you continue your exploration. But this is the discovery. You have to make this discovery before you can even continue to claim your own land. And who you are is your land. You're only going to be you. You're never going to wake up one day in someone else's experience, in someone else's body. Like, and I mean, if you do, you let me know.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's what the drugs did for us, you know?
right, you're like, literally, you wake up and I'm not the guy who did this, that, and the third. I'm this person. And that's the feeling without the actual, like, quality of the character. So someone walking around like, I'm blah, 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 and they don't actually have the characteristics, they're going to be perceived differently. You know what I mean?
That's why you end up at like a mental hospital, because you're literally fucking acting like the people are looking at you and going, dude, you ain't that, you know?
Yes. Dude, yes. Now, this is that discovery. This is the searching and fearless journey to claim who we are. Okay? And this is who we are, yada, yada, yada. This is that journey. In that journey, there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of turbulence. You gotta keep on moving. Find a way that works well for you. Doing this inventory written down this way is not the only way to do it. There's many different ways that you can get this same result, but this is what it is. Now, in active addiction, our emotions trump our intelligence. So although I know what is right and wrong, my emotion, my desire to use, my sadness, my loneliness, my fear, the emotion gets so intense that we choose to use to escape the emotion or to suppress the emotion or to change the emotion, okay? That emotion is subjective. Your emotion is going to be different than my emotion. You like the extent of your emotion, how you deal with your emotion, all of that is your own individual thing. And in order for you to gain power over, like, why am I so depressed? Why am I so this? Why am I so that? You got to go through your inventory. And I found out when I did my inventory that I was someone who always avoided depression. So I would feel depression and I would avoid it. And I would say to myself, I shouldn't feel that. I'm Jimmy. I'm supposed to be happy. Like we were saying that with Barb. I'm Jimmy. I'm fucking happy. Can't be depressed. And I would go out there and search for something to change my depression. And in that search, I never learned how to deal with my depression, how to figure out what's making me depressed. I was always looking for something to fix me. When the something to fix me is me. Like I'm wasting all this time running around searching for something that can change what I feel inside, but I'm the only one. Like I have to stop looking around and start looking in. And this is the looking in. Okay? Now, resentment is going to be tough. We're going to do that on Monday. Resentment is one of those things where what you're going to notice is throughout the whole group, I'm going to constantly be saying, well, what about you? Because everybody's going to, I constantly, for me and other people, usually when I run this group, we're always blaming the other person, yada, yada, yada. Always going to bring it back to ourselves. And this fourth step must be made. You have to create the fourth step. It's not talked. It's not sang. It's made. It has to be made. Some tangible thing, right? If I want to make a cake, what do I need?
The ingredients.
Ingredients, right? Eggs, butter, flour. Guess what else you need? Now, keep in mind that if you want to make a fourth step, you need a lot more than some resentment, some fear. You know what I mean? You want to make a cake. You also need what?
Time.
Time, but you said oven,
a pan.
pan. And I can have an oven and a pan, but
You need the person to do it.
person needs to do it. My bills need to be paid so that my oven can work. If my oven doesn't work, then my bills aren't paid. And if my bills are paid and my oven works, that means that I'm having to go to work every day. So you're seeing that if you want to make a cake, you already have to have a foundation of decisions already made. You already have to have a foundation of like doing the right fucking thing. You see what I'm saying? That's why this fourth step is made after you already understand your powerlessness. You've already done your steps 1, 2, and 3. If you haven't done those things, if you don't have a job, you're not paying your bills, you don't have a pan and all the tools to make the cake, you're going to end up relying on someone else to make it for you. And you're going to have to go buy a cake from someone. And I'll tell you what, if you got me a cake, I would be so fucking happy. I would be like, that is so nice, dude. I cannot believe you got me a cake. If you baked me a cake, are you kidding me? You baked this? You see the difference? Like if you are brought through your fourth step, right? Like if you sit down and you talk your fourth step out, people are going to be really grateful, dude. They are not, like, any way of doing this is amazing. Like if you're getting me a cake, oh my God, that's so incredible. I love it, right? But if you're having to buy it or you're having to, rely on someone else to do it for you, it may just take longer for you to learn how to do it yourself. That's it. You know what I mean? You want to be able to do this yourself. You want to be able to question your own morals. You want to be able to take your own inventory. You want to be able to make your own decisions. And part of that means doing the things to put you in a place to do that. And it's not a problem if you're not in a place to do that. You know what I mean? But you're just going to be reliant on, sometimes I want to buy a certain cake, and when I show up to Publix, they don't have the cake I want, or they're sold out, or I didn't pre-order it. You know what I mean? There's all these instances that happen with having to buy a cake. Now, I'll say this. If I've never eaten chocolate cake, I have no experience with it. I have nothing to say about it, right? Imagine if I was like, yeah, I've never had chocolate cake before. What? You've never had chocolate? What do you mean? Yeah, I just. What do you do if you don't have chocolate cake? I just don't eat cake. I don't eat it. Nope. What do you do when like everybody's eating cake? I don't know. I just fucking don't. Right? You're looking at someone who surprisingly has no experience with cake. Isn't that weird? Imagine meeting someone who never ate pizza. You know? That's like weird, you know? And there's some people out there, not saying if anybody in here has never eaten pizza before, not saying you're weird, I've just never met you. Okay, right? And I'm telling you, like, to meet someone who doesn't do drugs, I'm not saying that they're weird, you just may not have met them before, right? For the person out there who, like, is the perfect sponsor for you, not saying they're not out there, you just may not have met them before. And you just gotta meet that person, dude. And if you want to experience the joy of eating cake, and you want to experience the joy of like being yourself, and literally like, okay, how can I explain this? Your spirit is the seat. Okay, wait, let me draw it this way. Your spirit is the seat in which emotion and character sit. Okay? So if someone has volatile emotions, so emotions like this, right? And they don't know who they are. They're not confident in their mental or moral capacity or quality. And their emotions are all over the place. How do you think that seat is going to be? How do you think their spirit is going to be? Shaky? Is that going to be a seat that you want to sit in? You see what I'm saying? And addiction creates a volatile emotional being, state, and character misunderstanding. And they come in here reporting having heavy spirits. It's tough to manage that. It's heavy, right? To manage like, oh, I fucking lose my shit every fucking couple days. You know what I mean? Everybody thinks I'm this person and I'm actually this person. Like, what the heck? Your spirit's gonna feel constrained, like tight, like bogged down. Versus someone who's emotionally balanced. Say they have emotional high or an emotional low, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Say,
It's predictable, and that kind of person is somebody who probably would be a healthy partner for in business, in family, in romance.
and then when people start treating you like that person, it makes sense. You see what I'm saying? So there is no confusion about my emotion. Like my emotional state makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not like I don't understand why everybody treats me like I'm an addict, but nobody knows I'm an addict. I haven't told anybody I'm an addict, but somehow everybody knows I'm an addict. It's like the opposite. How does everybody know that I'm like working on being a good person? They're like treating me like I'm a good fucking person, dude. It's you don't gotta talk about it. You don't gotta do a fifth. If you're doing it, you don't gotta do a fifth step. You know what I mean? But doing a fifth step is always awesome because it gives you an idea of where you're at. So if someone has healthy emotions, their emotions make sense. The way they're being treated may make sense. It may be logical. Like their decision making leads to steady emotions, which leads to a rational understanding of how I'm perceived in society, which leads to what kind of spirit maybe. A free one? You can say whatever you want. Don't fuck me up. You know what I mean? I know who I am. I know who I am. I know why I feel these emotions. And my spirit is light. Like I'm free spirit, not a heavy one. I'm not bogged down all the time. I'm able to walk like this. Yes.
I don't know if everybody realizes it, but actually, at some of the liquor stores that they actually say own the liquor store spirits.
Dude.
Yeah.
They call alcohol spirits, and so like you said, people can see that. When you're intoxicated, you have a certain spirit on you, and it can be seen. Even after you think you've gotten sober, it can still be seen. The way you live, it's always a spiritual aspect. That's why AA is a spiritual, group.
Spirit is the foundation to recovery.
Healing that spirit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like, that's a spirit. That's a seat I want to sit in. You see what I'm saying? That's a chair that I want to sit in. A chair. That's a body that I want my spirit to encompass. I want my spirit to be encased in a body of healthy emotion and good mental and moral quality. Like, that is a good place to be. Like, and keep in mind that this is 4th step, this is 6th step, and this is like right here, I think. I think that's there. Some people may say this is like 8 and 9, you know what I'm saying? But I think the real spiritual awakening happens like right here. When you start like, you can't stop the changes. You can't stop the good things from happening to you. Like, it's kind of wild how these changes just start happening. So now, when we come back on Monday, we are going to talk about resentments. Now, the basis of the discussion that starts on Monday and will continue with all of these is going to be based on the equation of emotion over intelligence. And the goal, okay, is to flip this equation. So what I'm hoping to do as a result of classes to come are to take an emotion and build a better understanding around it so that we can put our intelligence over our emotion, so that when I feel an emotion, I don't immediately act on it, but instead I feel the emotion and think about making a healthier decision. Which if we don't do steps 1, 2, and 3, that doesn't make sense to us. You see what I'm saying? If I don't understand what I can control, what I can't control in healthy decision making, then healthy decision making around these emotions that I cannot control is going to be difficult. We're going to talk about how do emotions come on. We're going to talk about identifying the differences between certain emotions. So like, how do I know I'm sleepy versus hungry or focused, right? How do I know what's the spectrum of these? Is there a spectrum? Like, maybe hunger is an essential emotion, and if I try to avoid hunger in one area, I can become obese. If I try to avoid hunger in another area, I can become anorexic, which means that maybe hunger is a normal, natural, instinctive state of mind that I need to learn how to manage instead of change or suppress, right? Similarly to all of these, right? Trying to understand all of these resentments, feelings, and so on and so forth, and try to just gain a better understanding of like, okay, like resentment, that's a human feeling. Even shame. Shame is a natural, instinctive feeling. How can you tell when a dog is feeling shame?
It puts his tail between his legs.
Of the eyes, the ears drop.
Right? And you don't even need to see the trash that was ripped apart in the other room. You just got to come in and see the dog's body language to determine, what did you do? Right? That's how powerful these emotions can impact the body. I mean, if you have someone who feels a shameful event, they may respond the same way. Go hide in the other room, you know what I mean? Not look you in the eyes, kind of like head down, yada, 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 right? Someone who feels shame over a consistent period of time, after doing things they have to do to maintain their addiction, may cause someone's body to change, may cause their hormones to change, may cause adjustment in their chemical exchange in their brain. And part of what I'm doing here is evaluating that and saying, you know what, that's where I'm at, and I'm willing to work through it and make it better. There was one last thing that I wanted to say before we left, but I don't seem to remember what it was.
Well, in that case, then I do have a question about the step 4. How do you feel about throughout this idea that do we really see change in a person before they start their step 4? I mean, of course, the first 3, you know, we accept our powerlessness and, you know, the help from our God as we understand them. But how do you see that step 1 through 3 to the 4th step? How do you look at that? Because I kind of feel like you really aren't in the game until you hit step 4.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of got your toe in the water, but you haven't jumped in.
Mm-hmm. Well, steps 1, 2, and 3, I feel, give you they give you 3 things. 1, a diagnosis of how bad your problem is. So step 1 is, as a result of not admitting my powerlessness over drugs and alcohol, this is how bad my life has become. Step 2 gives me step 1 gives me that data. Step 2 gives me a little bit of data on what my life could be, right? If I were to do something, what could it be? You know what I mean? And just figuring out that data. So now you have a pros and cons list almost. And the third step is just making a decision on like which one you want to do, you know? This is like, okay, bro, you signed up for this. Like, this is what you said you were going to do. And in comparison to like real life. So let me take that process and compare it to real life, okay? And I'll use it in a way that shows someone giving up, okay? So you have someone who admits they're powerless over their addiction, and they come to believe that this place can help them. So they decide to make some phone calls. Once they're starting to make the phone calls, they're in 4th step. You know what I mean? They're starting to take action. They're no longer in decision mode. They're like in action mode. Then somewhere along the way, they get here and they begin, like we were talking about last week with self-will, taking their will back in certain ways. You know, maybe not sharing openly and honestly, maybe maybe like using denial in response to their treatment. They don't think it's working and they decide to leave, right? Because they left, they never get to experience the full process of treatment. Now, if they had remembered their initial decision, the data that they found is beyond reason that they should stay. You see what I'm saying? So that's why steps 1, 2, and 3, decision making, like remembering, it doesn't need to be steps 1, 2, and 3, it's just decision making. Remembering why I made this decision. Why am I here? Like, I made this decision because my life was horrible, and I don't want my life to be horrible again. And that is why we're here to begin with. You know what I mean? So when people are in the 4th step, what steps 1, 2, and 3 can do for them is have them be like, bro, this is the process. This is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm deciding to do this. This is a good thing for me. It's not a bad thing. It just is heavy emotionally. You know what I mean? And someone thinking that way in treatment may just finish their fucking treatment instead of being here in a heavy emotional state and trying to avoid it to go get high. So that's what I think the first 3 steps does, is it kind of like makes making the decision to stay in recovery more easier. And what this does is helps me understand my decision making. So if I don't do the steps 1, 2, and 3, then I may not understand decision making in response to an emotion. So if I don't understand decision making, like making healthy decisions while I'm sober, then I just like not using or using, then I may not make healthy decisions around emotions. Like, I'm angry right now. Should I punch a hole in this wall or not? You see what I'm saying? And what this is gonna do is shows us how, well, Jimmy, has anything ever worked out every time you punched a hole in the wall? What were the times like when you punched a hole in the wall before? Who were you arguing with when you punched a hole in the wall? What were you arguing about when you punched a hole in the wall? And what I come to find out is I was arguing with my parents. I fucking punched a hole in the wall because they wouldn't give me money or let me do something that was literally directly associated with getting high. You know what I mean? So maybe if I remove getting high, I won't be punching these things I won't be punching fucking walls, you know? Now, in order for me to practice and live the 4th step requires me to be in situations in which I am going to be angry and practicing that healthy decision making. So a lot of people mistake that too. That if you want to work on anger, prepare to be angry. You want to work on resentments, prepare to feel resentment. You want to work on fear, prepare to be scared. And if I'm unable to identify the emotion and understand the horrible decisions that I've made before, then I may not brainstorm new ones. And I think that this is the next classes to come are for us to like talk about the emotion. How do we respond? Are there better ways to respond? Is that response justified in other areas, in other circumstances? You know what I mean? Maybe punching a hole in the wall is the right thing at certain times, you know? Maybe it's not. That's where we kind of like have that discussion. But that's steps 1, 2, and 3 is basic decision making that carries on to protect your emotions, to 1, protect your being through not getting high, 2, to protect your emotions by not mismanaging them, 3, to protect your character and reputation by not acting out in certain circumstances, situations, and around certain people. And number 4, the fucking freedom to make decisions that protect your actual spirit. Like, no, I'm not going to do that because I won't be able to live with myself if I do that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, so steps 1, 2, and 3 are just tools that you need to do step 4. They gotta be tools. You have to use them as tools.
You have to. So you have to evaluate problems, you have to discover solution, and you gotta make a decision to do something. And the 4th step is like using that and being like, all right, now you got this awesome tool. Let's take that tool and apply it to this. And then once you, whoa, now I got this new tool. I have this new understanding of my emotions. And now I'm able to manage my emotions and make good decisions around my emotions. That's awesome. That's great. Now let's use those 2 tools and make sure you protect your character by not acting out on defects and changing your shortcomings. Wow, now I've changed my shortcomings and my decision making and I'm able to manage my emotions better and all this. Now what do I do? Well, now you're pretty much fucking equal with society, dude. Now you're a normal, productive member of society and it's your job to go say you're sorry and clean up the fucking mess that you made before, which is 8 and 9. And then, wow, I cleaned up the mess. I'm a normal person and I restored all the relationships in my life. This is like the epitome of freedom. Now there's daily thing, then the daily inventory. So that's why I say do your daily inventory now, because you may be acting on some of these right now, and you don't want to have to wait all the way until fucking 10 to say, whoa, I got this problem in my life, or I got this problem in my life. The daily inventory helps you evaluate your daily decisions, right? The long inventory helps you evaluate your lifetime long decisions. The daily inventory lets you identify your daily decisions to stay on top of them so they don't get out of hand and end up on your next fucking 4th step. So you don't get out of hand and have to talk about this in therapy the next time or whatever the case may be. So yeah, very simply put, the first 3 steps are tools needed to literally do the rest of the steps. if there are no more questions, I cannot wait for Monday, dude. I am so stoked for Monday. We're gonna begin this. We're gonna jump right in. And I hope I tried to give you as much as I could. Usually I talk about a lot more. In the fourth step, we go over fears, barriers, obstacles that may prevent us from doing a fourth step. And we talk about experience with fourth step, seeing other people work it, all that type of shit. But we did not have time today. That's totally cool. We're not going to talk about that, just so you know. We're just going to move right into it when I get here on Monday. So have a great weekend, and I can't wait to see you guys next week.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
65.